Hi, and welcome back to Graduate Career Launchpad, where we hear directly from graduates about what it's really like to start their career with Australia's top employers. I'm Simon Gibson, Graduate Recruitment Director at Prospel, and today I'm really excited to be talking to Ethan. Ethan's a recent grad who joined Capgemini Australia through the grad program. For those who don't know, Capgemini is one of the world's largest leading consulting and technology services firms, with over 350,000 people worldwide across 50 countries. The company is consistently recognised for its grad opportunities, ranking Australia's top 100 graduate employers. I think the company's grad program, and Ethan can tell us a bit more about this, has been praised for welcoming students from all disciplines, not just IT and computer science, business, engineering, design, and all thriving in areas like consulting, digital solutions, and sustainability. So, mate, really excited to hear about your journey, what you studied, how you sort of got to where you are today. And hopefully for any students watching, you might be able to provide some advice and guidance on, how to get through the process. But Ethan, thank you very much for your time and thanks for joining us today. Mate, firstly, love to understand a bit about your background, what you studied, and what made you apply for Capgemini's grad program.
Yep. Awesome. That was an amazing introduction, Simon. So, yes, I'm Ethan. I studied at the University of Melbourne. I did a Bachelor of Commerce majoring in finance and economics. And that is not necessarily the most traditional way to go into consulting, but how I got into consulting myself is I did a lot of extracurricular activities. There would be programs ran by the University of Melbourne. There was one called the Employability Accelerator Program. And what they did is they essentially got you to join other bunches of students and do a little bit of pro bono consulting. And it was very group project-like. And if you know what that means, it means people in university aren't necessarily as driven as you are. So I was looking for a place where you could do this sort of pro bono consulting, but be surrounded by like-minded people who are also driven. And that's what led me to GCG, which is Global Consulting Group. And what they are is a university club and they do pro bono consulting. But to get in, you have to do a series of interviews, technical one-on-ones, group interviews. So it's very much like simulating a consulting firm. And after you get in, you are joined and surrounded by people who are like-minded. And that's how I myself sort of got into consulting, and where I met James Schlunke, who's part of Capgemini, and that's how I sort of ended up at Capgemini.
There you go. So economics and finance at uni, wanted to get into consulting arm. This sounds like a really rigorous process to get into this consulting club, and obviously, and then Capgemini was a part of that. So essentially forming that network and going from there. That's really cool. Was that in your sort of whereabouts in your degree were you when you started doing this?
So when I first joined university, in my very first semester, I did the Employability Accelerator program because I just wanted to get my foot in the door. That's what opened the door to consulting for me. After that, after maybe 2 semesters of doing that, I found that it really wasn't as driven or as fast-paced as I wanted to be, and that's kind of what led me to do more. So that would have been in my second years when I found the university club, and that's when things started really taking off.
Picking up. Yeah. Okay. So I mean, that's really proactive from you to be getting into things in your first semester, in your first year. So well done on that one. I know sometimes people tend to wait until a little bit later on in their degree, and obviously, I think from my experience recruiting grads for many years, the earlier you can get in, the better. It just sort of increases your chances of securing opportunities, but also increasing your network as well. Okay,
100%.
so you always had that connection with James, which is fantastic, and a bit of exposure, experience in terms of what the job might have been about and what you might be doing. Physically applying for the Capgemini grad program, what was that like? Like, how many stages were there? What type of things did you have to go through?
Yeah. Getting into the Capgemini program was a little bit tough. I have applied for it a couple of times during my university degree, and I never got past the first stage, which is a simple resume screening. And what I think helped me with that was just getting to know James, I guess, because he's the person who's going to be signing off on everyone's resume, giving the stamp of approval. So that's the first stage. just sending in your resume. The second stage is a phone call, if I remember correctly, just quickly about your background, and they will quickly gauge your interest. So they will ask maybe 2 or 3 questions, quick fire, because they're still going through a lot of applicants. And this is where you need to sort of make yourself stand out from the rest. So do your research on the company, know what it's about, know all the different arms, and maintain that you are interested in this company in particular. After that phone screening, I'm pretty sure they will send you online assessments. A lot of people think psychometric testing is like the astrology of consulting, but it is useful to know what where you stand in the psychometric testing and to perform better than average in the cohort. Then after that, you'll be asked to go to an assessment center. At the assessment center, it's quite similar, I guess, to other interview processes in consulting where you'll be put into a group. Inside this group, you're going to be given a business case, and essentially you have to come up with a solution. Your solution is not necessarily what they're looking for. What they're looking for is how you work together as a team and how you collaborate with other people and work. After that, they will sort of kind of put you in a rough idea of which team capability they want you to be in. And if you pass that assessment center, they will get you to do a one-on-one interview. This could be in person or it could be over the phone.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Right. So it sounds like a lot. I think for those watching, that's probably a fairly traditional, graduate recruitment or vacation recruitment process. So apply online, phone screen, online assessment, in-person assessment, whether that's, again, group activities, case studies, interviews and such. Ethan, you spoke about those sort of quick fire questions when you're being phone screened, sort of 2 or 3 questions, and obviously, and you spoke about preparation. What did you do to prepare for that and sort of take us back to that?
Yeah. So they will ask you a couple of screening questions, very normal, very basic, like where are you based, what is your expectations for the salary, where would you like to stay, but then they will also leave time for you to ask questions. And this is where you can really, really make yourself stand out. So what I did for myself is I did a little bit of research on Capgemini. And if you have a look at Capgemini, there's a lot of different branches and different arms. So one of the major ones is the distinguishing between Capgemini and Capgemini Invent. So Capgemini is more of the technical side where they are doing implementation, and Invent is where they're more strategic. So they're going to be helping do roadmaps and brainstorming and all of those things. And then within Invent itself, there are multiple arms. So this is where I sort of asked that question. Oh, what is this arm? There's an arm called Frog, which was an acquisition, and they help to do more of the design thinking. And then there's intelligent industries and there's engineering. So you have to kind of immerse yourself in the company's world, get to know what's going on for them, and be curious. So make yourself stand out. Yeah.
That's really cool. And you also mentioned you did apply a few times for the grad program. Look, kudos to not being disheartened about not getting in the first time and making sure you put your hat back in the ring. I think again that's shows a bit of resilience as well. Was the next stage you thought, this is just not for me, it's not going to work? We thought, no, I really want to work here and I'm going to make sure I put, were you able to learn from your prior applications about what to change or adapt to try and be better next time?
Yeah, definitely. I think coming from commerce, finance, and economics, you're not exactly the most standout educational background. So you really have to pull together absolutely anything that you can. So maybe my first times applying, I didn't have as much experience, and I hadn't at that point reached out at all to anyone in Capgemini or made myself a little bit more visible. Prior to my final application, I had an internship on my resume that was added. And on top of that, I had met James at a networking event. And most of the time, networking events are good opportunities, but to be honest, there are a lot of students at the same time. So unless you are following up with the people at the networking event, it's going to be tough for you. So make sure you follow up. That's what I did.
Yeah.
James didn't get back to me, but we did connect on LinkedIn. So when he did see my name, he was like, this seems familiar. And he remembered that GCG left a good impression on him. So that probably left a green or a good taste in his mouth. So really pulling together anything that you can, getting all the experience that you can, refining that resume and that cover letter to tailor specifically to Capgemini or the company that you're applying for really helps.
Some excellent tips. And I leave that following up with context, especially from a LinkedIn perspective. You put yourself in the shoes of a grad recruiter, they probably get lots of connection requests. If there's no context as to, hey, we met at this event or we spoke about this at a networking event, it's very easy to say get lost. Good job, mate. Fast forward, so you've obviously gone through quite a rigorous process to get the job. You've been successful in securing a grad job. What was your onboarding process like for you? Was there a formal induction, training, boot camp? Like, tell us about that experience.
Yeah, so the grad program at Capgemini is really well renowned. They've won the best graduate program award a couple of times, and there's good reason for that. So James takes very, very good care of you before you even step foot into the Capgemini office. They're reaching out proactively. They've already assigned you a buddy, which is somebody who's already been in the grad program or somebody who's already in the company and they're going to be in your business capability. They're a point of contact before you even start the job. And you can talk to them about essentially anything. They're meant to be an informal point of contact as well. So you can just text them, reach out to them about anything. Then one day I was going home, I found some mail in my apartment box, and it's a handwritten letter from James talking to you about how excited he is to have you on the grad program. So
Yeah, well,
there's already like a pretty great connection before you even step foot into the office. Then
yeah,
once you're inside, before that, James will also give you a call, have a chat to you about what the expectations are for you and for him, and he'll just connect with you. He's a very good conversationalist. And then once you set into office, you are given 2 weeks of onboarding. So full-time onboarding is full of master classes, how to consult, because consulting isn't taught officially in a university. So it's a great way to have a good base of skills.
yeah,
So James runs this onboarding. He will get specialists from different parts of the business. They will come in and teach you different skills. So presenting or how to be agile and just a different range of consulting skills. So that's just 2 weeks full of that. After that, you're sent into the big world of consulting, but they're still holding your hand. So
yeah,
for the next 11 weeks, you're part of a program called the Institute. And the Institute is still something that is a regular touch point for all the grads. So all the grads in Invent specifically will be part of the Institute. This is where they're still holding those learnings, those master classes once per week. And there will be a weekly activity to sort of keep you on your toes and also teach you about time management. The most, I think, valuable part about the Institute is that you are able to still stay with your grad cohort while still being on project.
yeah.
And that each week they will touch base and keep you learning constantly, which I think is a very core aspect of consulting.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, loads of touch points before you even start. I think that the handwritten letter is I've not heard of that before. So well done to James for taking that time, and obviously shows a lot of dedication to his new starters coming in. And then essentially the first 3 months sounds like a fairly immersive experience, and help you transition from student into consultant.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
Okay. Excellent. And mate, if we can move on, I guess, from that part. So you've been there for 3 months. You've had that not hand holding, but again helping you transition from student. Um, can you share any examples, and obviously without sort of breaking any confidentiality? Yeah, the kind of client work you do, or sort of things you've been exposed to as a grad at Capgemini.
Yeah, I think as a grad at Capgemini, especially in Vent, they get you hands-on as soon as they can. They're hiring people because they need people for projects. So usually, or not usually, it's very soon after you finish that 2 weeks of onboarding that you'll be put on a project. So it's very good. And it ranges from project to project, but there's every project manager is a project manager for a reason. And they will resource you very well. So I was able to be in meetings with people from the C-suite very soon after I finished that 2 week of onboarding. And as a grad, you're not expected to lead the meeting or do anything too crazy.
Yeah,
But being able to be in the same room and take notes and see how these leaders in industry think, as well as your project manager sort of navigate these issues is really, really valuable. And I think is something that is pretty awesome as a grad to experience at Cap.
yeah. Did you feel, and you sort of touched on it a bit there, saying you're sitting in a meeting with C-suite executives. Did you feel prepared to contribute in any way, or was it just sort of the learning curve's too steep, and it's more of a this is a grad observation experience for you, as opposed to we expected to do something at the end of it?
I think the 2 weeks of onboarding really prepared you to do the C-suite
Yeah.
contributions. I mean, you wouldn't be actively part of the conversation, but I was able to ask questions to C-suite, and that provided a bit of value for our project team. And
Yeah.
how Capgemini kind of supplements this is because in the first 2 weeks of onboarding, you are presenting to very, very high levels within the business, and you're given a lot of opportunities to talk to very, very high levels. You're given the chance to talk to the managing director. Uh, so he just runs Capgemini in
Yeah.
Melbourne. So yeah, you're exposed to the high levels very soon. So
Okay.
external high levels, being able to ask questions is not something that's completely foreign.
Yeah. Okay. And what's I guess thinking about the balance between technical and soft skills, and I guess those soft skills which are probably essential to consulting, like communication and time management and teamwork, that kind of stuff, collaboration. Um, what skills do you think have been most valuable in your first year as a grad, or most valuable?
I think in this industry and consulting, definitely soft skills are required. My the main consensus that I've gotten is from everyone that I've asked this question to is the attitude that you have about learning. So you can be technical and you can have soft skills, but if you're not willing to learn and adapt to what industry you are in or what project you're in, then the company will like it won't be great. Consulting won't be great for you. You need to be able to be on your feet and open-minded. I think that is the main trait to being successful in consulting.
Okay. Are there any skills you thought, either you identified during the recruitment process, or even within, say, your first 3 to 6 months on the job, that, geez, this is something I need to get better at, or these are, or conversely, these strengths I have, which I'm going to build upon?
Yeah, definitely. Um, I think prior to or during the recruitment process and also part of onboarding, I was always somebody who was on the soft skill side. So I always had a experience with presenting and public speaking. So that was always good for me. And to be able to build on that and speaking to higher levels was really good. But that meant that my technical skills weren't the best as compared to everyone else in the cohort. coming from a background of commerce versus I'm the only commerce grad actually in my cohort. Everyone is from engineering or design or arts, computer science. The people in my capability have majored in machine learning, so they know absolutely everything more than even the seniors here. So being in the same boat as them has really pushed me to learn a bit more about the technical skills. And the great thing about Capgemini is that they really support learning. They have so many resources for you. So it's been really good for me to get my hands dirty, get into some courses, and really start learning about the technical side of things.
Yeah, okay. I was going to ask that if there's various upskilling and there's like AI, data analysis.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they have multiple different platforms, Coursera, Degrade, Next, and then they have partners with so many different companies. I can't name them all off the top of my head, but I think they
Do,
have.
do you feel more confident? Do you feel more comfortable now? Obviously, relative to your peer group.
Um, yeah, I can understand the basic levels of what they're talking about. Uh,
Yeah.
Sometimes when they're having conversations, I will get a little bit lost, but when they're talking to someone new about about the subject, I can chime in and add a little bit of value myself.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that must feel nice at least.
Yeah.
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 Excellent, mate. I'm going to take a slightly different track. Capgemini often talks about values like inclusion, sustainability, innovation. Is there any sort of initiatives or programs you can get involved in, and whether it's innovation, inclusion, or sustainability, or anything along those lines, if you can get involved in outside of your core client work?
Yep. So outside of your core client work, there are these things called communities. These communities are often sustainability focused or inclusion focused. So I'm part of the neurodiversity community. They meet every month and they talk. They have a talk, have a catch up. There are also other ones like the multicultural mural, and there's often talk about sustainability uh, that is sent out toward the whole company just on your email and best practices just around the office. So yeah, there's that.
Yeah, excellent, cool stuff. Thank you for sharing all that, mate. I'll last couple of questions to me. I want you to put yourself in so Ethan first year of university, so sort of pretend you're sort of back there. What advice would you give to students who are looking to apply for a Capgemini internship or grad program?
Oh, my advice to apply to Capgemini is to get involved as much as you can. Capgemini has a lot of external outreach if you look for it. I think every week there is always something new. We're always with another university or there's always another club. I think the last week we had a club just tour around the office from 4:30 to 6:30. Once you sort of get your name or be visible, it's a lot easier to apply.
Excellent. And for anybody watching now, maybe that they've already secured a grad program for the start of next year, any kind of advice to give someone to, what many sort of do's and don'ts for that, say, first 6 months on the job, if this is your first professional position?
Yeah. Um, sure. Some do's definitely keep your learning mindset. Take advantage of your title as a grad. When you're a grad, you have the special ability to talk to absolutely anybody and say, hello, my name is Ethan. I'm a grad here. And immediately the person you're talking to will be receptive towards you. And if you're on client site, don't let people know you're a grad. You're not a grad when you're on client site. You are a professional. You're a business analyst. You're a data analyst. You're not just a grad.
Yeah.
That is something that many grads fall into that trap. But when you're on client side, you're expensive, you're billing, you're a professional.
Ethan, that's been brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing your journey from student to consultant. It's really encouraging to hear the grad program combines that professional training, getting onto client work within your first couple of weeks or up to your first couple of weeks. And now, you're obviously growing your technical skills, but also your sort of personal and professional skills. So anyway, listening or watching, if you're interested in Capgemini's graduate or program or internship opportunities, make sure you check out their page on our Possible site. That's all for this episode of the Graduate Career Launchpad. Be sure to subscribe for more first-hand stories from our grads across Australia's top employers. And best of luck as you take the next step in your career journey. Ethan, thanks very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Simon.